So last week NXT kind of hit the reset button in a certain fashion and introduced us to new characters, etc. So I was kind of interested and intrigued as to what we were going to see and what direction they were going to go forth with now onwards. If you have any thoughts on the show or anything that happened on this week's edition of NXT or anything NXT related, please put them down in that comment section below. But as for now, we're going to go straight onto this review. It was nice for NXT to open up a tad differently than what it usually would do, even though there wasn't too much difference in it. You know, instead of going straight into a match with no promos or anything, you know, we opened up the show with Enzo Amore and Big Cass, aka Colin Cassidy, how you doing? In them, you know, having a promo for about a minute or so. And, you know, the crowd pretty much knew exactly what they were saying and they were going along with everything. You got the usual stick from Enzo Amore and Big Cass, how you doing? You know, thank you NXT for just opening up the show a little bit differently. And the way this match went with Colin Cassidy going against Sylvester Lefort and beating him in about 30 seconds, I was just thinking to myself, you know, just get rid of the match. Have a promo segment. You know, I mean, obviously, Enzo Amore can carry himself on the mic to a certain degree. Colin Cassidy can. Sylvester Lefort can somewhat carry himself on the mic. So instead of making Sylvester Lefort and Marcus Luis in the process looking like jobber jabronis by having Big Cass beat him very quickly, just have them have a promo segment. You know, but part of me is kind of glad that, you know, maybe they're just going to move on from these guys because a feud between, you know, Colin Cassidy and Enzo Amore and Sylvester Lefort and Marcus Luis, the Legionnaires as they're calling them now, etc., I don't think would have been that interesting for me. To me, it's just a way of bringing Enzo Amore back, and hopefully now they've got them together as a tag team, they'll start to do something with them, please. You know, guys, I really would like to do more videos on the British Fish channel. I mean, I've got the NXT review, I mean, the occasional Q&A, etc. But I'd love to do a little bit more surrounding the channel and, you know, do some more videos and get some more ideas out there and engage you a little bit more. But unfortunately, I really won't be able to because I'm suffering quite a career life-threatening injury right now. Unfortunately, I suffered a very severe finger injury while I was hand modeling. I'm not joking, I didn't really. But Tyler Breeze has a very severe finger injury, which is, you know, hindering him a little bit from cashing in his title shot. And I thought that was kind of funny. I was left thinking to myself, you know, lucky Adrian Neville that Tyler Breeze has got that finger injury, so you don't have to face off with him and potentially lose your championship tonight. I thought this segment was kind of funny enough that I'd make my own little parody out of it. And the finger injury continues as I go on to talk about the NXT Divas. We had Charlotte and Sasha Banks, the BFFs versus Bayley and Becky Lynch. And to be honest with you, I don't really want to talk about the match all that much because number one, it was kind of boring, and number two, we've seen a lot of this BFFs versus babyface tag kind of stuff lately, and it's starting to run a little bit dry on me. You know, it really is. I was not really interested in this match all that much, even though, you know, Becky Lynch is a, you know, very new characters there, and it's a new face in there. But, you know, at the same time, I'm kind of glad they did what they did on this show because I was thinking during this match, like, man, they've really derailed Charlotte after her title win. She had that great title win against Natalya, that great moment, and ever since then, she just hasn't really seemed like she's been on that much of a pedestal as the NXT Women's Champion as I thought she would be. I mean, she got the win here, but you just don't get the sense that she's the one right now. You don't get the sense that she's the champion, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, it was perfect timing, really, because as soon as I started thinking that, it looks like they're separating the BFFs. They had a segment backstage where Charlotte said she does not want to be with Sasha Banks anymore. She thinks she can survive on her own, which she can. And to be honest, I think the BFFs thing has kind of run its run now. And, you know, I think Charlotte should definitely go off on her own. You know, if she's going to be a, you know, diva on the WWE roster for Raw and SmackDown, she's going to need to learn how to do things on her own. I think having her with Summer Rae, having her with Sasha Banks has helped break her in to NXT, but now it's time to see what she can do on her own. Apparently, though, it's Bayley versus Summer Rae in a #1 contendership for her title. I'd love to know how Bayley got in there. I can't remember the last time she won a match, although did she pin Charlotte? I can't quite remember. So at least I guess more than anything, Charlotte will have some kind of feud going soon. I imagine it will be something to do with Summer Rae, simply because they, you know, did that whole BFF reunion thing and that didn't work out. But at the same time, with the history that Charlotte and Bayley had and no real blowouts of their feud, you can kind of put a bit of money on maybe them two having a match. I still think they will go down the route of Summer Rae personally, and maybe have Sasha Banks in there, maybe who do I side with, blah, 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 blah. And Summer Rae now is a babyface on WWE TV, so you must imagine she has to be a babyface on NXT now. So we got CJ Parker version 2 versus Steve Cutler. Any relation to Jay Cutler? Maybe the Schleg Daddy can tell me about that one, as he seems to have so many great things to say about Jay Cutler, the quarterback for the Bears. Yeah, I don't know that much about American football. So CJ Parker was obviously more aggressive here, and he now has proper hippie music rather than the old music that he had, which really sucks. But it's really funny that the gimmick is actually better. Now they've got him as a heel, and it's actually working a little bit, and he's doing the signs and stuff like that. But he got more heat when he was trying to be a babyface. This is kind of weird, isn't it? How the guy was trying to be a babyface using a kind of similar gimmick and got more over as a heel. Now he's a heel. He didn't really get that much reaction on this show. You know, he really didn't, even though the gimmick has improved. And the post-match promo segment he did on Xavier Woods saying, what has he done since leaving NXT? He's been part of the Fungosauruses. He's done some stupid dance down the ramp. He's dressed up as da-da-da-da-da. You know, I thought that was kind of funny. And at the end of the promo segment, he just said, he's coming for you. I'd have thought maybe CJ Parker, being the environmentalist that he is, would have maybe picked something out about, you know, about Xavier Woods. Like, yes, he's becoming a doctor and getting a PhD. I wonder how much paper he's wasting in his dissertation just to get a doctorship. You know, maybe take this environmentalist thing a little bit of a step further, rather than just having him hold signs and stuff like that, and yes, the finger is still injured, people. Maybe they could take this a little bit further, you know. But I will say this, CJ Parker used to be my buzzkill on NXT, and now I tolerate him. So yeah, this interview with Renee Young and Tyson Kidd, it kind of had a ESPN sportsman feel to it. It really did. It was something different. It didn't really seem like a wrestling interview. It felt like Renee Young was interviewing like an American footballer or a baseball player about their sport and their personal lives. You know, Tyson Kidd here was really talking a lot like a sports person. He really was, like umming and ahhing and the excuses and the deludedness and the trying to stay away from their personal life, and as soon as Renee Young dwells into it, they storm off in the interview. I thought this was done exactly like they would do some kind of sports interview, because you know, the thing about wrestling is they kind of have to be able to talk, because they need to be able to try and put butts in seats, so to speak. Whereas sports people don't really need to know how to talk, because it's what they do as part of their sport that draws people to the seats in most cases. So when they do interviews, generally, they sound like dumbasses. If you watch a lot of soccer, oh boy, you'll know how much of a dumbass people sound, especially people like Wayne Rooney, etc., if you know what I mean. So I thought this was kind of good how they incorporated some sort of sports element into it, you know, rather than just doing it like a normal wrestling interview. That's how it felt to me anyway. Maybe you guys didn't know, that's kind of how the interview felt to me, and it, you know, came off as something a little bit different because of that. So the main event on this show was Sami Zayn versus Justin Gabriel, and, you know, my first thought on this was, you know, I mean, I understand how they're trying to put Tyson Kidd in this. You know, they were previously a tag team, and Tyson Kidd is trying to get Justin Gabriel to beat Sami Zayn so he can retain his spot on the roster. I get that. But I do not care an ounce for Justin Gabriel. I mean, what has NXT done to make me care about Justin Gabriel? They brought him back randomly to lose to Adrian Neville in a random-ass title match, random-ass no disqualification. He had no vignettes. He's had not much promo time. He's changed his look a little bit. His in-ring style doesn't really seem to mesh anymore. But seriously, could NXT have done less to make us care less about Justin Gabriel? I really don't give a shit about him at all, especially when you see where he was with the Nexus and everything like that. It looked like they were planning on pushing him as like a mid-card babyface that was going to appeal to women and kids, and now he's like sprawling in NXT, losing matches to people and really not doing all that much. And to be honest with you, the match itself was really I was kind of yawning at this match until the last 5 minutes where they really started to pull out all the stops. And Sami Zayn won this via submission, which is something a little bit different for Sami Zayn. It's nice to see him finally get a W in the W loss draw column, although you Americans don't seem to like your ties, which is kind of strange. And the Tyson Kidd heel turn here was pretty much complete. You know, they've been teasing it for a while now. We know he was kind of going to the heel side, but, you know, he got in the ring after the loss of Justin Gabriel and pretty much attacked, you know, pretty much attacked Sami Zayn. And I guess there's some kind of new alliance there too, because Justin Gabriel is now aligned with Tyson Kidd. They're kind of like pissed off people that were on the roster that are now trying to work their way through NXT from the bottom up. That's kind of, so I guess you can call them team pissed off or team annoyed or something like that. I don't really know. And of course, as we see on the WWE TV quite a lot of time, the top babyface saves the day as usual. See John Cena, for example, who generally does that. We had Adrian Neville doing it here. So this main event, I really didn't care all that much about personally. But, I mean, Tyson Kidd and Sami Zayn could be a pretty good feud going forward. I don't care about Justin Gabriel, although hopefully NXT will maybe do a little bit more to make me care about him with this whole alliance thing. I don't really know, but at least it's some kind of meaningful storyline significance for someone like Justin Gabriel. And I guarantee you in the next couple of weeks, maybe even next week, it's going to be Tag Team Match Player Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville, nearly fucked that up, like botched that Teddy Long style, versus Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel. So yeah, this show really was more about character enhancement, in my opinion, than storylines. If you like storylines, this really show probably wasn't for you. But, I like, in NXT, there's got to be a bit of character enhancement because we're seeing some newer characters and some newer feuds now. I mean, Enzo Amore has just come back. You want to establish that tag team, even though it's already established. We're establishing Charlotte as being more of a lone wolf now, hopefully. CJ Parker's, new sort of version 2.0 hippie gimmick. That's going there. Tyson Kidd's heel persona is kind of, getting there now, in my opinion. And the only real storyline we had on this show was Sami Zayn and Tyson Kidd. So if you didn't really like storylines like, I know, the Slag Daddy has said a couple of times, show wouldn't have been for you. But really, this was more about character enhancement than storyline advancement. But I do hope that at some point soon, that NXT do give us some kind of storylines, because you can only enhance characters for so long before the show gets a bit meh. Because at some point, you're going to need to put, more than 1 or 2 or maybe 3 storylines on the show. You really do. I mean, the Tyler Breeze and, Adrian Neville storyline, it's going to happen soon, and they're still teasing it. But, that could have been a real good addition, to NXT in some kind of segment, maybe to open the show, a promo segment or something, even though Adrian Neville's promos really aren't improving all that much. He cut a decent promo once. I remember he cut a decent promo once. But since then, it's just been downhill in the promo department for Adrian Neville. It really does make you think why he is the top guy in NXT. I've heard this said a couple of times, and I understand Adrian Neville is a great wrestler, but he can't really deliver on the mic, and it does make you think, why is he the top guy in NXT? Is he like the standard bearer for NXT? And if you look at his mic skills, you're like, man, there's so many people on the roster that have got the better mic skills than Adrian Neville. And it really does deplete how much you can do creatively with Adrian Neville. I mean, you can put him in a match, and that's pretty much all you can do with Adrian Neville. It's unfortunate, really, because you look at a character like Tyler Breeze, and you could do a lot with that character if he was NXT champion. You look at Sami Zayn, and, he's got pretty decent mic work, and he's improving on the mic, and you could do a little bit more with him. And it's just like, we've got Adrian Neville, who's a great wrestler, don't get me wrong, but he's another one of these guys on NXT. I don't like saying this, but he just mid-carder. I mean, a lot of these characters on NXT, like Tyler Breeze, like Sami Zayn, like, even Tyson Kidd, even Justin Gabriel, people like that, CJ Parker, I can't see any of them main eventing for WWE on the main roster. And I think on NXT, we sometimes need these superstars that are going to main event on the roster and have them be the main champion in NXT. I mean, a guy like Mason Ryan, back when he was in FCW, was the perfect champion. My God, if you wanted a guy to represent what WWE wanted in a future world champion, he was it. When I saw Roman Reigns on NXT, with his kind of like cocky heel, I know that I'm good gimmick, I thought, man, main eventer, kind of has that main event look, kind of has that main event swagger about him. That's kind of how, I don't really see any standout characters like that in NXT. I really don't. And it's a shame, because it means that NXT is really just a mid-card developmental territory, when in my opinion, WWE desperately more than ever needs to create main event stars. Now, you could say that, WWE have brought up guys like Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Cesaro, people like that could potentially be main event stars down the line. And, in that case, NXT has done its job quite well. But I'm just saying, with me, I always like to look forward to the future. This is why I am very fond of like young footballers in soccer, or football soccer as you would call it in America. I like, young footballers and seeing how they develop. I like looking at the developmental territory in WWE to see where the next diamond in the rough can come from. And I don't see one on that can really be like a main event star in WWE. I don't see anyone like that. Just a little rant I thought I'd have before I end this, review of NXT. If you have any thoughts on what I've talked about in this review, please let me know down in the comment section below. Also, is it me, or does NXT just seem to be full of small guys? Sometimes you need a little bit of variation, and there's a lot of smaller guys in NXT, especially on this show, and maybe get a little bit more variation. It's kind of having a bit of an ROH feel right now. It really is. But anyway. If you have any thoughts on the show, let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this review, and I know I've kind of done a bit of a rant at the end, but it's just some things I've wanted to get off my chest for quite some time now. I just never really felt the time was right until now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Goodbye.